Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Richards. In the headlines tonight, 3 men are wanted in connection to a string of assaults in Hull over the weekend. MP Martin Vickers pays tribute to fellow MP Joe Cox, and how a group of students are being creative with conduction. And my guests tonight are Ruth Skinner and Alan Isle, who are here to tell me about plans for this year's Hornsea Carnival. MPs were recalled to Parliament this afternoon to pay tribute to MP Joe Cox, who was killed in her constituency last Thursday afternoon. Cleethorpes MP Martin Vickers paid tribute to Cox when speaking to Estuary TV earlier today and said that MPs still have a duty to their constituents despite recent events.
Obviously a personal tragedy for the family, and our sort of prayers are with them at this time. And it was right that we should call a temporary halt to campaigning in the referendum. I'm quite certain that MPs, although obviously we'll take sensible precautions, contact with the people you represent is vital. I was born in Cleethorpes, I've always lived in the Grimsby-Cleethorpes area. I certainly would have no intention of not going about my normal business and going to the shops or the football match or whatever it happens to be.
Ahead of Thursday's EU referendum, tonight's Hot Topic explores the key issues affecting Europe. Speaking on the panel, the Green Party's Vicky Dunn expressed her concerns on trading deals with Europe.
We will keep trading with the rest of the world, and there may be short-term effects. We cannot yet foresee whether we're going to join the European Economic Area and consider trading on a fairly similar basis with Europe, or whether we would not do that. And I think within the Leave campaign, you'd find a big divide on opinions, because joining the European Economic Area, not to jump subjects, then allows freedom of movement of people as well.
And you can catch our EU referendum special question time with Vicky Dunn, Victoria Ailing and Andrew Defty immediately after the 5:30 news at 6 o'clock this evening. 3 flag-raising ceremonies took place today to officially welcome the Armed Forces Day national event to North East Lincolnshire. The main event is on Cleethorpes on Saturday. The ceremonies in Cleethorpes, Grimsby and Immingham saw the official Armed Forces Day flags transported to each location by one of the 3 services. The first flag was raised by the RAF at the Armed Forces Memorial Gate in Cleethorpes. 2 further flags were taken to Grimsby, where one was raised by the Army outside the Fishing Heritage Centre, and the final flag was taken to Immingham by the Royal Navy, where it was raised outside Immingham's council offices. A fusion of neon and shoulder pads helped show off the work of students from Grimsby Institute's Faculty of Creative Arts at an event on Friday evening. Rashida Green was there in very 80s form.
Arts and media students at Grimsby Institute celebrated the end of their academic year with a vibrant 80s themed showcase.
We've done a lot of work across the year bringing the faculty together, so it doesn't matter if you work in HE or FE, if you're a student or a member of staff, we're just one big family, and the idea of this event was to celebrate that. It's a big party that's for everyone all together.
The Neon Nights event was attended by staff, students and their friends and families, coming together to celebrate the various forms of artwork created by students over the year.
What I was impressed with was the sort of variety and scope of different things that were there, some very creative ideas, things that really made you think about the what was on display, which I guess is what it's all about.
The 80s theme proved very popular, with costumes, makeup and music adding to the fantastic atmosphere.
It's been great. It's really nice to see my colleagues and, students coming up in costume and really getting into the spirit and, remembering what some might say, probably one of the worst decades in fashion and music, but I tend to disagree.
80s is on trend, it's on the catwalk. Our business is to know what's on trend and to sort of lead the way. It just seemed like a natural thing to do.
Apart from it being a party, Neon Nights also gave students the opportunity to present their work to potential employers and a wide range of audiences.
Yeah, we've had quite a bit of involvement in students. All our work's on showcase here, so it's a good opportunity for us to show friends that don't go to this college and our parents as well. And it's good as well that we can have potential employers come round and look at our work and possibly then get contacts from that.
Unless you're plastering it all over social media, no one really sees it. This is an opportunity, like Emma, our head of the arts, she's invited a lot of VIP people, so there's a lot of important people coming in to look at our work. And a couple of us have got like business cards and stuff just to like give out to people and just meet different people in industry to sort of get them interested in what we're doing.
This year marks the 50th anniversary of the Hornsey Carnival. The first carnival had an estimated 10,000 people and a procession of decorated floats and fancy dress that stretched a mile long. The carnival has only been cancelled twice, in 2007 and 2012, when heavy and prolonged rain flooded Hallgarth Park. The main day of the carnival this year is Saturday the 23rd of July, and it features a carnival parade through the town together with arena events. And to tell me more about it, I'm joined by Ruth Skinner and Alan Isle. Welcome, both of you.
Hello.
Thank you.
First of all, let's just hope you don't get washed out again this year. That's a
Yeah,
disaster,
we
isn't
don't
it?
want that at all. It costs too much money when that happens.
Now, when we're talking of money, it costs absolutely nothing to go there and enjoy it.
No, it's a free event. We don't charge any entrance fee at all. People can just come and go as they please and enjoy the entertainment that's on.
And I said, Alan, that first one, half a century ago, 10,000 people turned up. How many could you expect on recent form from recent years?
Anywhere between about 25,000 over the weekend. So
25,000 people.
over the weekend.
Over
the weekend.
Invading the
Yes.
town of
Yes.
Hornsey. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. What can we expect when we get there?
We start off on the Friday night. The main thing on the Friday night is just a family entertainment, but we finish the evening off with a good firework display, large firework display. Saturday, as you've rightly pointed out, is the main day. We've got the parade through the town, we've got arena entertainments, Atkinson's Action Horses. They're the ones that train the horses for pole dark and things like that.
How very
So-
alliterative. Atkinson's Action Horses.
Yes, yes. We've had them before and they are absolutely brilliant.
Okay, that sounds fantastic.
It is. Elaine Hill, and she does a lovely demonstration with her sheepdog rounding geese and ducks and things like that. And we've got falconry displays.
Oh, falconry is always popular, isn't it?
It is, because the youngsters like to get in the arena and help. And it gets the birds flying with the children.
I bet it does, yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic.
And
Yeah.
Alan, there's some music highlights as well.
Yep, there definitely is. Over the weekend, you'll be able to view the Garnett family from Britain's Got Talent. They'll be in our parade.
Britain's Got Talent being a television programme on another station.
That is indeed on another station.
Bigger, but not necessarily better than Estuary TV.
So the family were originally from Hornsey. They now live on Barton and Humber. They made it to the semi-final stages, to the live shows. They will be performing on Saturday afternoon in Hallgarth Park. They'll also be be on our open-top bus during the parade. So people get to see them there as well.
Like a victorious football team.
Exactly.
Ruth, it doesn't just happen automatically.
No.
How many people and how long is the organisation?
Basically, as soon as the carnival finishes one year, we start planning the next. Many of the traders book on the way out of the park, so they ensure that they can come the following year. But it is an ongoing thing because we don't get funding from anywhere. We are self-funding. So we start planning from the end of July through to the following July for the carnival and fundraising all year.
And what sort of fundraising events do you do in order to just fill those buckets with
we'll have
20p pieces?
So after Carnival, so comes up to November, we'll be putting on the annual fireworks display during Hornsey. And then during December, we'll go around the streets with our Santa sleigh. So that goes, we do 6 nights through December in taking Santa around the streets and raising money.
Right, this is
as
certainly
well.
long-term advertising.
Yeah.
And you've got all these wonderful displays, but you've got presumably there's lots of food on offer and things like that as
Yes,
well.
we've got food traders, a variety of different, for everyone's taste really, a bit of something for everyone. We do have the local food marquee as well, where we've got a local chef presenter who will be doing demonstrations for the 2 days. Steph Moon's coming. She used to be on one of the other television channels.
It's all right, you can
Not as
mention
good as this one. Yeah, she was on Britain's
recipe.
best menu, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And she comes every year and does cookery demonstrations for us. So
You make me hungry already.
Yes.
We'll come and talk a bit
Yeah.
more about the carnival in a second.
Excellent,
Take
thank
it
you.
away. Join me then when we'll have more of the day's news and we'll have a roundup of all the latest sporting action. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, students' creative sparks and a roundup of the weekend's sporting action. A nurse who has spent the past 37 years of her life caring for people has hung up her uniform. Karen Remond, operational matron for surgery and critical care, retired from Northern Lincolnshire and Goole NHS Foundation Trust after spending her career caring for surgical patients. Before her matron position, she was the ward sister in charge of orthopaedic inpatients. Karen said she's so proud of having been part of such a wonderful hospital and team. She's now looking forward to spending more time with her family and friends. A Lincolnshire police officer has been nominated for a Police Bravery Award after her quick action in assisting a driver who was having a seizure and avoiding a serious crash. Danielle Crompton will be recognised at the 21st Police Bravery Awards on the 14th of July. The awards, sponsored by Police Mutual, recognise police officers who perform outstanding acts of bravery on or off duty. This incident occurred last June when response officer PC Crompton was driving a colleague and a passenger to the hospital in Lincoln. While on the A46, an Audi overtook the police car and Crompton realised something was wrong. The Audi hit the central reservation and continued to drive at high speed while the driver was unconscious. She drove the police car level with the Audi, eventually drawing both vehicles to a halt. Other officers who attended the scene believed a major incident had been averted through the actions of PC Crompton, who had been an officer less than a year at the time. Last week, students at Willow Academy were creative with electricity. The school played host to one of E.ON's creative conductor workshops as part of their STEM educational activities. Pupils spent the day experimenting with everyday objects in order to understand how circuit boards conduct electricity. Fred McNamara went along to find out more.
We are here today at Willow Academy to deliver our energy education workshops. So we're delivering Play a Day and we're delivering Creative Conductors workshops. So these workshops are designed to educate pupils all about energy, how to save energy in their everyday lives, and also to create a passion for STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering and maths. So the Play a Day is a day-long workshop, and as part of it, the Year 3 pupils here today are doing all sorts of interactive, engaging activities all around how to save energy in their everyday lives. And throughout the day, they learn a rap, which is great, and they also learn a play, which they will then perform to the rest of their school by the end of the day. So the Year 6 and the Year 5 pupils are doing a workshop called Creative Conductors. So this is all about being creative, but all about learning about how to conduct electricity using circuits. So they use something called a makey kit, which we wire up to a computer, and they use everyday objects, so bananas, plasticine, high fives even, to show how we can conduct electricity.
Well, as a school, we've been taking on the primary science quality mark, and we've been looking at science improvement within our school. So we wanted to work with outside communities and people that would come into our school to provide different educational opportunities. This is a practical cross-curricular method of teaching electricity, conduction, and the conservation of energy sources as well as renewable sources, and the children seem to be loving it.
So for us, it's really important to create this passion for science, technology, engineering and maths at such a young age. And our energy education is really important for us at E.ON. We work a lot with our local communities, so working with schools in our local communities around where we operate is important for us. And also to develop that passion at such a young age. So science, technology, engineering and maths can be used in all sorts of careers as the children get older. And sometimes the subjects in the schools can be a little bit dry. So for us, bringing it to life and making it really fun and engaging just helps their enthusiasm in these subjects as they get older.
This provides a different way of making sure children are responsible members of our community in the future, have an idea about how to conserve energy, look after the world around them, and that they know how these things work in order to be safe.
It's a football pitch that's also a pizza with unicorns playing against evil killer bunnies. Learning what electricity can pass through and what it cannot pass through.
The children have really enjoyed themselves. They've been practical. They've taken the learning into a fun method. They've crossed all sorts of subjects, not just science. So they've done art and design alongside all of the STEM subjects. Plus, I believe that we've got a performance later that we're looking forward to seeing. So it's really taken in every element of our curriculum and brought it together.
Love it. Football pitch that's also a pizza. Still with me in the studio are Ruth Skinner and Alan Isle talking about plans for this year's Hornsey Carnival. Now, I mentioned in the first half that it's half a century old, Ruth. What's the history of this thing?
In this current format, we do believe that it's been going quite a lot longer than that, but in a different type of format. I think it originally was about 8 days, with a lot of smaller events going on for about a week. But we can trace it back at least 50 years, doing basically what we're doing now.
But you think that it's got it in its roots, it goes back even further?
I think it goes back even further than that.
It's got some sort of medieval origin.
Oh, I don't know that it goes back that far, but yes, it certainly goes back a lot further than that.
And in recent years, you've had a few sort of specially featured festivals. I know you had a very international connection at one point.
We did, yes, because Hornsey is twinned with a couple of places in France, and 2 years ago the people from Hawaii came over and they just happened to be doing a visit on Carnival weekend, so we brought them in with the parade. They went round in the bus and thoroughly enjoyed themselves, hopefully, on Carnival weekend.
And so what, it was just drinking lots of wine and eating lots of cheese?
That's it.
Those being the fundaments, along with marital infidelity, of French culture.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, that's none of our business, is it? You're a bit of a newcomer, though, to the carnival.
Yes,
you're the young blood.
We are. Yeah, there's several of us that have joined this year. So we're fully immersing ourselves in everything carnival for this year. Yeah, I've only been in Hornsey 2 years, but it's been a great way to get involved with the community. Hornsey Carnival is a big park community as well.
Well, let's just remind ourselves. Obviously, it's in Hornsey. The park is called
Holgarth
Park,
yes.
And the day is the 23rd of July.
22nd to the 24th. It starts on the...
Well, that includes the 23rd.
It does, but it
22nd to the 24th of July.
Right.
Good luck. I'm sure it'll be absolutely fantastic. Hope you have fantastic weather.
Thank you very much indeed.
Time now for the sports news. The Black and Whites picked up 2 more important points with a narrow victory away from home against Castleford Tigers. Lee Radford's men continued their incredible run of results, picking up their 14th win in 15 games and their 8th consecutively. Tries from Frank Pritchard, Danny Horton, Mahe Fonua and Jamie Shaw, and 4 conversions from Mark Snade helped Hull earn their first win at the Jungle since 2012. The Arley Birds remain 2 points clear at the top of the Super League table. Radford chose not to risk a number of key players ahead of the Black and Whites Challenge Cup quarter-final against Catalan's Dragons. Captain Gareth Ellis was rested alongside fellow back rowers Mark Miniciello and Sika Manu. Pritchard and Danny Washbrook were promoted to the starting lineup in their absence. Fatuli Talanoa also missed out with a knock, so Curtis Norton returned on the wing while Leon Price came back into the side on the interchange. I didn't understand a word of that sentence. Castleford were without talisman Luke Gale, so former Hull man Paul McShane and prop forward Grant Millington started in the halves for the home side. The Tigers were also without Mike McMeekan, Ben Roberts, Andy Lynch, Michael Shenton, Jai Hitchcocks and Lee Jewett. With the pre-season schedule now confirmed, Iron manager, that's Scunthorpe United, Graham Alexander, can't wait to get the players back in the building to prepare for 2016-17. Local rivals and newly promoted Premier League side Hull City will be the first of 2 visitors to Glanford Park in pre-season, with Rotherham United arriving 3 days later. Stamford will provide United's first test before a week-long training camp in Austria. The schedule of warm-up games ends with a trip to Hartlepool United the week before the season starts. With the players returning for pre-season training on Tuesday, June the 28th, preparations and programme planning continue to ensure everything is in place for their return, allowing the side to hit the ground running. Padraig Armand looks set to leave Grimsby Town today after rejecting the deal offered to him by boss Paul Hurst. The striker, who hit 37 goals for the Mariners last season, had a medical at Hartlepool today ahead of securing a move to Victoria Park. If the deal goes through, Armand would become the second Town player to make the move to the North East. And I think that's all. Oh, no, we have a little bit more news on that. Should the striker make the move today, it would mean there are just 2 players yet to make decisions on their future at Blundell Park. Nathan Arnold and Richard Tate were both offered new deals following Town's promotion back into the Football League, but they have yet to make any decision amid rumours they could be set for moves away from Cleethorpes. And that is it for the sports news now, and it's all for the news tonight. If you have a news story, then please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages, email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 31553, or write to us at Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN34 5BQ. Until tomorrow, good evening. And now I can start. Good evening. You're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Riches. In the headlines tonight, the suspension of an East Riding councillor, a charitable donation to a metal recycling scheme, and visitors are drawn to the light by a new exhibition. And I'm joined on the sofa by Julie Dobbs and Vincent Byrne to talk about a diamond celebration in Grimsby. But first the news. An East Riding councillor has been suspended from the Conservatives group after posting inappropriate and obscene comments mocking an online memorial fund set up in memory of MP Joe Cox. Councillor Dominic Peacock, who represents the Minster and Woodmansey ward, posted a message on a Brexit Facebook site, but it was removed within 25 minutes. In a follow-up post, Peacock said, "I've deleted my offensive comment. I shouldn't have put it on in the first place." In a statement issued to Estuary TV, Councillor Stephen Parnaby, leader of East Riding Council and the Conservative group, said, "Following inappropriate and offensive comments made on social media relating to the sad and tragic death of Joe Cox MP, I've suspended Councillor Dominic Peacock from the East Riding of Yorkshire Council Conservative group with immediate effect. I shall be reporting this to a meeting of the full group, and my recommendation will be that he is expelled," so he says. The Confederation of British Industry argues that the UK's membership of the EU has helped boost job creation and growth in Yorkshire and the Humber, with as many as 250,000 jobs in the region currently linked to exports in the single market. There is the potential to create 60,270 future jobs for Yorkshire and the Humber if the UK remains in the EU, according to the CBI. Treasury figures suggest the single market could be strengthened if Britain remains in the EU by the creation of 9,000 jobs in banking and business sectors in our region and 8,000 jobs in the distribution and retail sector. Becky Hart, CBI Yorkshire and Humber Director, said that the UK's membership of the European Union has been of enormous benefit to Yorkshire and the Humber for over 40 years. Meanwhile, ahead of Thursday's vote, the Cleethorpes MP Martin Vickers has expressed his views on why he thinks leaving the EU would be better for the area when he spoke to Estuary TV recently.
This area has not prospered during the years when we have been members. The fishing industry declined as a direct result of the common fisheries policy. Admittedly, the cod wars with Iceland also played their part, but the common fisheries policy and the quota regime and so on was extremely bad for the fishing industry and led to its decline.
Ahead of Armed Forces Day this weekend, personnel from the 3 branches of the military were in Cleethorpes this afternoon to focus on the lineup of events happening over on the day. Rashida Green was there and brings us this report.
Cleethorpes is gearing up to host the National Armed Forces event this weekend. With the event fast approaching, a lineup of the various displays has just been released.
Actually, this is the pinnacle of what we've been doing. It's the national event. What I'm looking forward to is things that people don't normally see in Cleethorpes. Beach landings, a big display by the Red Arrows, a Chinook helicopter doing a display, Black Cat's Royal Naval helicopter display team, stuff from the Army like Challengers and other big bits of kit we don't normally see. And of course, probably the biggest military parade that Cleethorpes has ever had. Over 1,200 people parading through the town. And hopefully the public being there, showing their support for our armed forces and our veterans.
It's well deserved, to be honest, because traditionally the event, the Armed Forces Day event here at Cleethorpes, have attracted around about 60,000 people to the event. So it's been a well-supported event, which has been disproportionate to some of the big cities, where some of the big cities around the UK that have held the major event, like we're holding this weekend, haven't attracted those sort of numbers. So the numbers themselves and the support that the armed forces get in this area is extremely strong and is well deserved here.
We know that it's well attended anyway, and also the fact that people from around here are very for the forces, so therefore with that it's just nice to celebrate everything that we do and hopefully promote the forces in a great light.
We've been doing it for 8 years. When we started out 8 years ago, we had 85 people come to visit it and look at it. Last year we had 65,000. This year we're expecting well over 100,000 people. This is a major event. When you consider last year at our local Armed Forces Day, we had more than the national event. So this year we're going to really show the UK what it's all about.
Apart from displays from the 3 branches of the military, we can also look forward to the Military Wives Choir, the band of the RAF College Cranwell and the Queen's Colour Squadron, an amphibious capability demonstration on the beach, the Red Arrows acrobatics team, the Red Devils parachute display team, amongst many others.
East Riding Council has revealed its proposal for the future of public transport services, which it supports financially. The proposal follows the most extensive review of bus and passenger services ever carried out in the East Riding. Due to a significant reduction in funding that the council receives from central government, it's had to make major changes to its budget. Now, subject to approval by the council's cabinet on the 28th of June, an 8-week public consultation will begin to seek residents' views on the proposal starting on the 29th of June. The council is proposing to reduce the financial support it gives to some bus journeys by £600,000. However, the vast majority of bus services will be unaffected by the proposal, and less than 5% of the 6 million bus journeys taken by passengers in the East Riding every year will be affected by these changes. The Lincolnshire branch of Cancer Research UK has received a generous donation thanks to a metal recycling scheme. £4,444 have been donated to the charity thanks to profits from recycled metals that have been converted into materials used in orthopaedic implants such as hip and knee replacement joints. Councillor David Watson presented the cheque to Cancer Research's local fundraising manager, Andrea Day. Fred McNamara went along to find out more.
I've come along from Cancer Research UK to accept the cheque on behalf of the crematorium, and yeah, it really does make such a difference to us. Considering that sort of 90% of our donations are £10 or less, to get over £4,000 really will make a difference to our research.
The donation today is in aid of cancer research. Portfolio holders get the chance to nominate a charity of their choice. It's got to be a death-related charity, and this year's charity is Cancer Research.
Cancer Research UK at the minute, we're really ambitious. Currently 2 in 4 people survive cancer, compared to 40 years ago where 1 in 4 people would survive cancer. But our ambition for within the next 20 years is to increase that from 2 in 4 people to surviving cancer to 3 in 4. So donations like this make a difference because all over the UK we have over 4,000 scientists, doctors, nurses working on research. So yeah, this kind of donation really does make a difference to us.
I've got personal experience in my family with relatives suffering from cancer. I lost both my parents from cancer, so it's nice to see that we can make a difference and help cancer research in their good work.
The best thing about a donation of this size is that straight away we can get it to our team in Oxford that processes all the donations, and it can get out to the researchers and scientists wherever it's needed to be. So it's instant, it'll make a difference.
Well, Cancer Research UK relies on donations to carry on with their good work, and this amount of money will make a huge difference to enable them to carry on with their good work.
Members of the Grimsby Hospital League of Friends have clocked up 60 years of supporting the hospital with their charity work following its launch in 1956. Members are all unpaid volunteers, and the reason the League has been so successful is the generosity of local people. I'm joined now by Julie Dobbs, Voluntary Services Manager for Northern Lincolnshire and Goole NHS Foundation Trust, and Vincent Byrne, President of the League, to tell me a little bit more about the Diamond Anniversary. Congratulations, Vincent. 60 years of loyal service.
Thank you very much.
And you've been in it pretty much from the beginning.
Yes. I joined about 2 years after it was formed.
And back then in the mid-1950s.
Yeah.
And what is it that you provide the hospital? What do you do?
Almost everything and anything the hospital needs. In the early days we used to provide drinking glasses and things like that. Now it's much more sophisticated equipment, which sometimes costs tens of thousands of pounds. I had an eye scan a couple of weeks ago, and it was a new piece of equipment. And the chap who was doing it said, do you want to have a look at it? So I said, oh, yes, please. And it takes literally 4 seconds for this scan. I said, how much does that cost? £60,000.
It's pricey, isn't it, medical equipment. Julie, I mean, how important is it that the Friends do provide these services to the hospital?
Absolutely vital. The League are there to provide the patient comfort items that the trusts don't necessarily have the funding to provide. Obviously, the larger pieces of equipment and all of the services that the funding comes from the NHS is obviously vital. But the services that the League of Friends provide, pillars, suites for Macmillan, all sorts of information.
We'll talk more about how people can get involved in the history of the Friends in a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, more from Julie Dobbs and Vincent Byrne and their League's Diamond Anniversary, and a roundup of all the latest sporting action. Hull Clinical Commissioning Group is considering plans to increase services at a minor injuries unit on a Hull housing estate. As part of the transformation of urgent care and community services, the proposed changes could see round-the-clock X-rays and medical tests offered at the unit in Bransholme to relieve Hull Royal Infirmary. City Healthcare Partnership was recently awarded £121 million to provide community care, urgent care at minor injuries units and sexual health services for the next 5 years. Deputy Chief Executive of the partnership, Yvonne Elliott, said that under the new contract, the service is looking at putting diagnostics and X-ray facilities into Bransholme on a 24/7 basis. Part of the A18 Barton Street that has been closed for surface dressing and other work since the end of May will reopen at noon on Thursday. The works have been taking place between the junction of the A46 Laceby Road and the northeast Lincolnshire boundary near Ludborough. All works have been completed, but new lining on the roads needs to be installed, and this has been delayed due to the weather as the road needs to be dry. People from across the world have been flocking to Scunthorpe to witness a new exhibition that's taken over a local church. Liz West, an artist who specialises in installation pieces, has had her latest exhibition, Our Colour Reflection, hosted by 2021 Visual Arts. The exhibition is situated in the former St John's Church and consists of over 700 coloured mirrors dazzling the church interiors. Fred went along to find out more.
This is an exhibition by an artist called Liz West, who's based over in Manchester. And it's an installation she made especially for the church here. It's the first time it's been shown, which is made out of over 700 coloured mirrors that are designed to reflect light up into the space. Liz is an artist who works with light and colour and how that looks at how those respond to architecture and how people see them in spaces. So this is a piece she's made especially for here. Well, we really like to show work here that we feel our audience or our visitors will respond well to, that they'll enjoy, and we also really like to show work that responds to this beautiful space, which is a 19th century church that our gallery is based in. I'd seen Liz's work before at a couple of events. She's had works where she's kind of flooded spaces with colour, using coloured lights, and that was something she originally approached us to do, but we weren't sure how well it would work here. It's a very light space anyway, so we asked her to make something especially for the space here, and she approached us with this idea of filling the space with coloured mirrors, which sounded a fantastic idea, and then we kind of worked with her to get funding to make the pieces, and here we are. It's here over the next few days, ending on Saturday, so yeah, come along and see it. People coming into the space have been really enjoying it. It's a piece of work that changes, I guess, by the minute, depending on how the light comes into the space. It reflects the light from outside, and as you can see today, it's lighting up the pillars really beautifully. Other times, when it's a bit darker and it's stormy outside, the lighting reflects up onto the ceiling, but it's also had kind of a worldwide reach through the media and through the social media especially. There's been over 50 stories about it. We've been contacted by websites and magazines as far away as kind of USA and Japan, who have seen some photographs of this and have really responded to it and have shared photographs of it, and it's been fantastic for us. When we were talking to Liz about making a piece for here, she was keen on making something that could be shown in a whole lot of different spaces. I mean, it was made especially for this space, but because of the nature of it, this could be put pretty much anywhere. And works she's made before have been shown in different spaces, and the different spaces and the different light in those spaces has changed those spaces. Immediately after this, it's going to be shown in London as part of the London Festival of Architecture, so it's going to be shown in a disused church in London within the next couple of months, and then there are plans to take it elsewhere. I mean, Liz's work is shown all across the UK and further afield, and all being well, this is going to be another one of her pieces that's becomes popular, and it kind of carries on. Liz has been a fantastic artist to work with. She's really kind of understood what we wanted from the exhibition. She's visited Scunthorpe a number of times, and has been a real pleasure to work with. It's also been great to see people's reaction to the piece when it's kind of lighting up the pillars like it is now, and it's been great to see the building full of colour and kind of brighten up the grey Scunthorpe days we've had over the last few weeks.
And still with me in the studio are Julie Dobbs, Voluntary Services Manager for Northern Lincolnshire and Gould NHS Foundation Trust, and Vincent Byrne, President of the League, telling me about the Diamond Anniversary celebrated this year by the League of Friends of Grimsby Hospitals. Vincent, how much do you think, just in brute money terms, you've raised throughout the history of the League?
It's difficult to say because we didn't have We didn't keep we lost some records, I think, early on, but I would say it's a very minimum £3 million.
£3 million over 60 years is an enormous amount of money to raise by by voluntary donations. And how do you raise that money? What sort of events do you put on to try to gather that cash?
We do get money from benefits from wills occasionally. Sometimes big money, sometimes, you know, in lieu of flowers for funerals and things. But we have the stall at the hospital most months. We have most months.
In the charity area, yeah.
And I noticed from your cheese and wine evenings, concerts, things like that as well.
Everything and anything. We'll have a go at anything.
We better emphasise quickly, if people do want to become a friend of Grimsby Hospital or join the League, what should they do?
Contact me, Vincent Byrne, or Anne Rushby, our secretary.
Okay.
My telephone number?
It might as well, yes please.
01472 580 786.
Okay. Well, I hope you get lots of people willing to volunteer. But
do.
really, why is it that you need a charity to provide essential bits of medical equipment? I mean, I pay an enormous amount of tax to pay for the NHS. Why can the NHS, is it begging from charities?
Absolutely. It's not begging, it's the fact that we're actually asking for the League and other charities within the hospitals and organisations to provide that essential patient comfort. So as much as the equipment is provided for the League, it's also the suites for the Macmillan information centres, you know, the patients that are going through chemotherapy.
It's the comfort rather than the pure medical treatment.
Absolutely, it
I'm
is.
so sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there because apparently we must do the sports news in a moment.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, time for the sports news now. Heavy rain during yesterday forced the cancellation of the Grimsby Town knockout match between Louth and Appleby Frodingham. The match will now be played on Thursday, June the 23rd, beginning at 6:15 p.m. Hull FC Vice-Captain Danny Horton believes the faithful fans could prove the difference when the Black and Whites take on Catalan's Dragons this week. The 27-year-old hooker thinks that the huge numbers following the club home and away in 2016 have helped them reach the top of the Super League table. He insists that their support at the KC Stadium on Saturday could also be key to the early birds reaching the final four of the Ladbrokes Challenge Cup. He said that they make a massive difference, especially when they get behind you. Hull-born Horton is hopeful the club can reach their first final in 3 years. He was part of the side that was defeated by Wigan Warriors at Wembley in 2013. Horton's confident that Hull can return to the famous ground and end their jinx in the capital while picking up their first silverware since 2005. It's everything for the club, he said. Pride of place this week must go to Appleby Frodingham, who returned to the top of the Yorkshire League South on Saturday. On a minefield of a wicket, they bowled out Rotherham for 80 and lost 7 wickets before claiming the maximum 12 points. Next week, Frodingham play Wakefield Thorns, who were knocked off top spot by virtue of their first loss of the season. Third-placed Keythorpe's game against Sheffield and Phoenix United was abandoned without a ball being bowled owing to a wet pitch and a wet outfield. In the northern section, Castleford 138 for 9, Driffield 142 for 5, Hull 146 and Dunnington 147 for 3. And that's it for tonight. If you have a news story, then you know what to do. Visit the Facebook or Twitter pages, email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 31 553. Write to us at Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN 34 5BQ. Until tomorrow, good evening. Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Riches. In the headlines tonight, an MP's reaction to a councillor's inappropriate social media comments, the future of steelworkers' pensions, and what lies in store for Hull's bus services. And as it's the first day of this year's Lincolnshire show, we'll bring you a roundup of the day's events, and Rashida Green joins me on the sofa to tell me all about it. At an emergency meeting in Scunthorpe yesterday, steelwork pensioners were urged to sign a national online petition. They hope it will force a debate in Parliament about the crisis over lack of cash in their pension scheme. Attendees were also encouraged to take part in the consultation over the future of the fund with the government, which ends on Thursday. The trustees and the steel industry unions are opposed to a proposal to put the scheme into the hands of the Pension Protection Fund. And meanwhile, community union members from all Tata Steel's UK sites met in London yesterday to consider issues relating to the company's sale. Following the meeting, Community, the steelworkers union, indicated that it has serious concerns about the integrity of Tata Steel's sale process. It's now 3 months since it was announced that Tata intended to sell its UK assets, but Community believes steelworkers and their families are less certain of their future than ever. A display at Cleethorpes Library is honouring the 1st and 5th Battalion of the Lincolnshire Regiment as part of the National Armed Forces Day national event this weekend. The display includes photographs, memorabilia and a map showing where the members of the regiment lived, which has been produced by Sophie Bramley, the daughter of local author Steve Bramley, who's written a book with Chris Bailey entitled 1st 5th Battalion Lincolnshire Regiment in the Great War. It retells the story of the almost forgotten local territorial force battalion recruited in North Lincolnshire. The book was released last March to coincide with the 100th anniversary of the volunteer battalion leaving for the Western Front. It'll be on sale at the library. This year's Lincolnshire Show, as you've just seen, got underway today, a 2-day event taking place at Lincolnshire Showground with 20,000 visitors expected. Our reporter Rashida Green caught up with the show president, Jeff Bottom, earlier today.
I've had a stand here many years, or our company has, and so I've not had the opportunity to look around the show for many years, and I'm just absolutely amazed at the variety of stands and everything that's happening. I just find it unbelievable. We've been in the Schools Challenge and that is just incredible, so very impressed with many things as I've gone around. I've had I don't know what sort of bird it was, but I had a bird sat on my hand for a picture, and yes, I'm really impressed. The full-time people who run the show, they're tremendous, and all the other people who give up their time are just terrific, so very impressed.
Jeff Bottom speaking earlier today. When the Lincolnshire Show opened its gates for the 132nd time today, one of the many thousands of visitors was Ernie Dickinson. He's believed to be the annual attraction's most regular visitor. This is his 70th show. Rashida caught up with him a little earlier.
When it started after the war in 1946, the first show in Blankley Park with the golf courses. The one-day show. There wasn't a lot of stuff there like. There's plenty of horses, cattle, sheep, but there wasn't no machinery much because it's only a one-day show. The war had only been just over a year. Oh, you can't believe the changes I've seen since those days. Like, I mean, it used to go around all around the county, different places, and the changes in farming, like machinery and such like as that, it's unbelievable really. I mean, there's all little tractors, it was all done with tractors and horses years ago when I was on the land, and then it started to get better. Little grey Fergie tractors started to come, they started to do away with the horses, take over.
And Rashida, who's been at the show all day, is safely back in the studio now, here to tell me how her day has been. Rashida, first of all, main question, how was the weather?
Fabulous. I couldn't believe it. I checked the weather this morning and it said rain after 4 o'clock. I thought, right, I'll be back before then. And to be fair, it stayed absolutely dry and brilliant sunshine. It was really, really good.
Now, it was a busy day for you, as we've just seen, and there's more to come. How many people were there at the show?
Obviously, it's hard to estimate, but they do expect about 60,000 visitors over the 2 days. So I'm guessing not far off the halfway mark today.
And we saw a few more numbers, but how many exhibitors or stalls or showgrounds were there?
Well, because it's such a popular show, they do have about 600 exhibitors every single year, and that's massive. I mean, obviously, shows like this are very popular, particularly in England, because they do represent a very English sort of tradition. Like the flower shows that will be coming up in the summer, they are very much part of the landscape and part of the social calendar, I think, which is why they're popular.
The Lincolnshire show is one of the biggest in the country, I think.
Absolutely,
if only because Lincolnshire has got a lot more farmland than most counties have in the country. What's the history of it? I mentioned that it was 130. This was the 130th show.
Yes, they've been running for about 132 years. Of course, not consistently, because they took a break during the Second World War. And then when the foot and mouth disease started to spread, obviously not the best place to be in an agricultural show.
You don't want to bring animals together,
no. So, but I mean, it's obviously grown in popularity ever since. And I mean, it just continues to grow every year. I met a couple of people there who were visiting. I mean, of course, we saw Ernie, who's been going for 70 years.
Yes.
Initially went as a farmer and then has just carried on as a visitor. Met another couple of people, or a couple, who've been going for 50 years. So it is very much a sort of traditional summer day out for a lot of families.
Well, this is going, but if you're going back 70 years, you're going back to horses pulling ploughs.
Yes,
and farms
absolutely,
and
yeah.
that,
and Ernie mentioned that. He said, you know, the technology, just the advancement in technology for farming, that has been something phenomenal for him to witness, because obviously he's seen from the days that the horses drew the ploughs, and then all these amazingly wonderful tractors that have suddenly showed up.
Enormous, massive machines. And we should say it is a day out, of course, and it's a fantastic celebration, but it is also an economically important market, as it were, a meeting place.
Absolutely,
and that's a vital part of the Lincolnshire economy. Did you see much of the stock? Because they're very competitive. You know, who's got the prettiest Lincolnshire red cow? Is
yes, I believe I caught some.
Question.
I believe I caught some sheep.
You caught some sheep, did you?
On camera. I mean, what amazes me is the genuine interest of the local public, as well as visiting farmers, who don't normally get to see stock from other farms. And you know, it's fabulous how they all come together, and you have this parade of amazing cattle and poultry and, you know, all sorts of animals there for everyone to look at and actually see where our produce comes from. So that was really good.
I've covered it very often. I've been to the show. I love it every time I go there. I do feel a little bit guilty, though, when I see these beautiful animals, because I know how much I enjoy eating them.
Yes, I suppose that's one of the drawbacks of visiting somewhere where they look all pretty and lovely, and you don't, you know, you just want to show them rather than see them on a plate. But I suppose it's part of the ecological balance. I'm going to say it at the risk of sounding politically incorrect.
No, not at all.
But
feel free.
But it is a matter of choice, and of course there will be. I'm glad there weren't any obvious sort of animal rights protesters there, because it is very much a part of the landscape with Lincolnshire.
Well, agriculture is a political issue. This is the day before the European referendum. The European Union subsidises agriculture. Was there much of a feel of a hot political debate going on? Were people concerned about that at the show?
There was, they had organised an EU referendum debate, but I think a lot of people were there for the day more as a social outing than to make it a political point as such. In fact, a few people that I spoke to and pointedly asked questions about the referendum were quite honest in saying, look, this is a social outing, we're enjoying the show, and that's what we're here for. So
I think not just at the agricultural show, the Lincolnshire show, I think people across the country are sick of talking about that.
Absolutely.
Rashida, thank you very much. Don't go away. We'll talk a little bit more about it in the second half. Join me after the break when we'll have more highlights from this year's Lincolnshire show and a roundup of the latest sporting action. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, more highlights from the first day of the Lincolnshire show and the latest sports news. We reported yesterday on East Riding's proposals for the future of subsidised bus services, and now Hull City Council will be carrying out a series of public consultations for bus users to share their views. Currently, the council offers bus companies subsidies to support their local services where there is a social need, but due to reductions in the budget, a number of services will be reviewed. These include the 1ED Sibelius Road to Mizzen Road service, 16 City Centre to Marfleet Village, and Service 9 James Reckitt Avenue. Public drop-in sessions will be held at Hull's Paragon Interchange tomorrow at 10 o'clock until 4, on Friday from 9 a.m. until 4 in the afternoon, on Monday from 2 to 4, and on Tuesday from 9 again till 4. Organisers of this year's Humber Bridge Half Marathon have warned that people taking part will be disqualified if they're using headphones during the race. The Rotary Club of Hull says they have to adhere to the headphone ruling brought in by UK Athletics. This year's event is likely to see 2,500 runners. Hull City Council say that the regeneration works in the city centre are on track. Most projects are scheduled for completion by December, including Humber Street, Whitefriar Gate and Pier Street. An estimated £22.6 million is being spent on these works, and council cutbacks won't affect the operations. If you're looking for a way to improve your fitness, boost your mental well-being and make new friends, a new walking programme may be the answer. East Riding Council's Sport, Play and Arts Service is launching a new walk from the 5th of July. The walk will start and finish at Hessel Community Centre as part of the Walking for Health programme. The programme is a national scheme governed by Ramblers and Macmillan Cancer Support, which aims to help people get back on their feet and boost their physical and mental health. Led by trained volunteer leaders, the walk will run every other week and lasts an hour. It's open for everyone, no specialist walking equipment is needed, just a sturdy pair of shoes. With just a few hours to go before the EU referendum, the National Farmers Union spoke to us at the Lincolnshire show about the possible impact on British farming after tomorrow's vote. Here's Andrew Wilson.
Well, the NFU is not campaigning for either in or out, so we're not pushing a single objective with it. Although we did decide that UK agriculture would be best served within the EU, and that was by our elected members of NFU Council. But in terms of what the impacts are if we come out, it's yet to be seen, as we don't know. The information hasn't been there to start with, and there would have to be a new UK farming policy or a new British farming policy, whereas at present we're on the European farming policy. So there's a lot of uncertainties if we were to come out. If we remain, then we know what the landscape's like, but we would still like to see more reform in Brussels. But if we are out, then the NFU will obviously have to work very hard with the government to make sure that we've got a farming policy that is fit for the future of British farming.
Well, that answers my earlier question, I guess. I'm still with Rashida, telling me about this year's Lincolnshire show. That's the agricultural side of it. Of course, it is a day out. How do you amuse children in Lincolnshire Showground during the Lincolnshire show?
Well, there's, as we all know, children in particular are very fond of animals, and it's a great day out for them to look at animals and to see a different variety of animals. Normally, domestically, they only see a cat, a dog, that sort of thing, rabbits maybe. But it's a very big educational opportunity for children as well. Lots of people there today out on school trips, teachers herding children around, making sure they see fun displays. Like I witnessed a dog and duck display where a sheepdog was herding ducks around, and that was absolutely fascinating. And obviously the children,
surreal concept, isn't it?
It was,
Herding
and I mean,
ducks.
I have to say the presenter was rather engaging. He was very interesting, to put it politely.
Well, anybody who's spent a dedicated time to training a dog to herd, or should I say flock ducks,
Yes.
has to be interesting.
Yes, and he got the children to join in as volunteers, and they absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And of course, there was also a circus tent which was set up and sponsored by one of the stalls there, who provided free entertainment for children. Parents could have a rest while the children just learned new tricks.
Fantastic. Agriculture is the centre of the thing, of course, but in Lincolnshire especially, perhaps more than other counties, a lot of other businesses depend on the agricultural sector. Who else was represented there apart from the farmers?
There were a lot of exhibitors in the form of lawyers, solicitors and
Boo hiss.
and insurers and that sort of thing. I think most of them, the general sort of objective of being there was to support their farmer customers. They don't necessarily get the opportunity to again socialise with their customers as such on a day-to-day basis because it's mainly business. And I think the aim was to sort of project themselves not in this austere, very business-like manner, and to actually socialise and make themselves seem more approachable.
So there was some business in the beer tents, was there?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Now, a few years ago, they invested a great deal of money in the Lincolnshire Showground and put some tremendous improvements and a beautiful new building. Was it appreciated? Did the facilities work? Was it a good experience to use these new facilities?
The one thing I have to say is that it looked very well organised. There were clear markings everywhere and people didn't seem frazzled. I didn't see anyone sort of, because obviously we were near the media centre and all that sort of thing, and a lot of businessy tents were around there. Everyone seemed to know exactly where they were going, who to approach in case they needed any information, and the Epic Centre, as it is called, the massive building that they've just put up, just played host to the members and some of the VIP guests, and it worked. It really did work.
What's going on tomorrow? What can we expect then?
Fascinating. I mean, the lineup for this Lincolnshire show is just mind-boggling. Chainsaw sculptures is the one I was hoping I could catch, which I didn't today. There was a fantastic display by what's called Lives, which is a local charity that makes people aware of the what to do when there's a road traffic accident, what to expect, and that sort of thing.
Lots to be done then tomorrow, Rashida.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Time now for the sports news. Hull-born prop Scott Taylor says it is his lifetime ambition to reach Wembley with his boyhood club. The 25-year-old, who grew up supporting the Black and Whites, admits it is his main ambition to reach the Ladbrokes Challenge Cup final with Hull FC. The forward, who won the Super League Player of the Month award for May, lifted the trophy in 2013 with former club Wigan Warriors. He was against the early birds on that day, and although he admits winning the cup with the Warriors was a proud moment, nothing would compare to winning at Wembley for Hull. Winning it with Wigan was a great feeling, he said, but to win it with my hometown club would be 2 or 3 times that feeling. Hull FC come into this week's Challenge Cup quarter-final on the back of 14 wins in their last 15 games. Despite coming into the game in good form and sitting top of the Super League table, Taylor believes the Black and Whites need an improved display to beat Catalan's Dragons on Saturday. Hull Kingston Rovers captain Terry Campisi is set to be sidelined for the rest of the 2016 season after suffering a serious hamstring injury in the recent match against Wigan Warriors. The Robins skipper ruptured his hamstring tendon midway through the second half of the game and was sent to see a specialist last week, with scans revealing the full extent of the damage. The former Australia and state of origin halfback has already begun the lengthy rehabilitation process, but is expected to be ruled out of action for the remainder of the season. Head of rugby, Jamie Peacock, said this is really disappointing news for the club and for Terry, who's suffered greatly with injuries this season and done his very best to return as quickly as possible each time. Grimsby Town have announced that former Scunthorpe United defender Andrew Boyce has joined the club on a 2-year deal. Boyce will be a familiar face to Town fans after the 26-year-old played 19 games for the Mariners across 2 loan spells in 2014. He began his career as a trainee at the age of 16 with Doncaster Rovers Academy and was offered his first pro contract with Rovers in the summer of 2008. After spells at Gainsborough Trinity and Lincoln City, the big defender signed for Scunthorpe United on a permanent deal in 2014. After a successful season where he helped United gain promotion to League One, he was allowed out on loan to Blundell Park for the remainder. He went on to make 13 appearances for Town, including the 2 playoff semi-final games against Gateshead. Boyce returned on loan to the Mariners the following season, but was recalled by the Iron, that's Scunthorpe United, after an injury crisis at Glanford Park. He spent last season out on loan at League 2 sides Hartlepool United and Notts County. Scunthorpe United's Sky Bet League One campaign will kick off with a home clash against recently promoted Bristol Rovers on Saturday the 6th of August. This will be Graham Alexander's first full campaign in charge of the Iron, and he'll kick off with an opening day encounter with the Pirates, and that kick-off is at 3 p.m. Their first away trip comes towards Fleetwood Town at Highbury on the 13th of August. That's all we have time for. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then Facebook or Twitter, email news@estuary.tv, phone 01472315553. That's everything for this evening. Good evening, you're watching Estuary News, I'm Hugh Riches. In the headlines tonight, plans to expand Bridlington's caravan park, the support available to disadvantaged families, and reminiscences of the war ahead of Armed Forces Day. And we'll be bringing you more of the highlights from this year's Lincolnshire show as the event ends for another year. And my guests in the studio tonight are David Jack and Vince Marchant, here to tell me about beer and cider. But first, some news. The Task Force and Support Fund for Scunthorpe Steelworkers and Businesses are following in the footsteps of the Steelworks and have been renamed British Steel Task Force and British Steel Support Fund. The North Links Council set up the task force to support Scunthorpe steelworkers and supply chain businesses after the redundancy announcement last year. This was followed by the £3 million support fund launched in February. The support fund is to help businesses within the British steel supply chain and other local businesses and to help create and protect jobs. The British Steel Support Fund lasts for 2 years and is funded by the government. Visiting hours at 2 hospitals in our area are set to change, allowing people greater flexibility to call in and see their family or friends. The revised visiting hours will affect Scunthorpe General Hospital and Grimsby's Diana Princess of Wales Hospital. Rashida Green is there for us now and brings us the latest.
Currently, family and friends visiting patients across Scunthorpe, Goole and Grimsby hospitals can do so between 2:30 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. These timings are set to change as of Monday the 27th of June, allowing patients to have visitors any time between 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. The Northern Lincolnshire and Goole NHS Foundation Trust conducted a pilot after speaking to patients, families and staff and concluded that extended visiting hours would benefit patients and families. Factors such as families who work shifts and the duration of a hospital visit were among those considered during the pilot. In a statement issued to media, Tara Philby, Chief Nurse, has said, "We know patients benefit greatly from having their loved ones visit during their hospital recovery. And we also know that visitors appreciate this added flexibility, as it makes visiting much easier to fit in with their work and other commitments. It will help improve communication and reduce queues as people arrive on wards." Jo Loughborough, a patient experience practitioner, has said, "Our objective is to provide flexible and responsive visiting times for people as we know it aids their recovery, but also to maintain confidentiality, privacy and the dignity of our other patients." Although there will be greater flexibility in visiting hours, the Trust have asked that people should observe previous visiting guidelines.
East Riding Council has announced plans to extend and develop Southcliffe Caravan Park in Bridlington. The council plans to invest £6.15 million in the scheme, expanding the park onto the adjacent agricultural land of the Willsthorpe estate. It would also provide a boost to the wider Bridlington economy, as an estimated additional 160,000 visitors will be made coming to the town each year. A planning application will be submitted in the autumn, with work to start on the site next March, subject to approval. This year's Lincolnshire Show drew to a close today for another year, with an estimated 60,000 people flocking through the gates over the last couple of days. The show attracts businesses as well as spectators from all walks of life. Rashita Green spoke to some of them.
So we're doing a free competition for a mini cruise, so we're doing quite well. So we can get people in and then they can see what we do as lions, because a lot of people don't know who lions are. You say, oh, I'm a lion. Oh, what's one of those then? Either that or they think you're a rugby team. Yeah.
But I've been coming to the show for over 50 years. It gets a little bit better every year, and at the moment I think this is probably almost perfect. Everything's fine and the weather's kept fine for us. And Beth, my wife, she's been coming, and all my family have been coming, the Golland family and the Strange family, that's Beth's family, forever. And we shall keep coming for a long while yet, because we're only in our 80s.
We've been coming to the show for more years than I can remember. We're delighted to support the show, and it provides a fantastic opportunity for us to meet our clients and actually enjoy the show as well.
It's very much a social, it's just an opportunity to get to meet our members and our customers in a social setting, as opposed to it, being very much business-like on the farm. It's just enjoyable to get to sit down, have a coffee with them. I think for them it's very much a chance to mix with the other farmers as well. They come and visit us in the NFU tent and they catch up with a lot of the people that they don't always get the opportunity to meet because they're so busy farming.
North Lincolnshire Council has recently hosted an event to help disadvantaged families find out more about what services are available to them. The Council's Learning Disability Partnership held the event as a way of bringing families and agencies that provide support together for an informal afternoon of networking. Fred McNamara went along to find out more.
I come from a slightly different perspective to a lot of people, because I am actually a carer myself of 2 young boys with learning disabilities, so that gives me, I've got a dual purpose. One of them is obviously I'm coming along as a mum and a carer to see what's available, and the other one is as my professional role, which is for adult services cabinet member, which includes making sure that we've got the right strategic direction for delivering services that we need for our people with learning disabilities and our adults, and that's in terms of housing, education, activities, a whole wide range of people are here today supporting the event. I think today is a fantastic day, and as you can see around you, the engagement today is absolutely great. There's a lot of people here, there's a lot of carers here, there's a lot of people here that need services for themselves. So the good thing really is the more we can have opportunities to pass information about the services we have that can help and support people to make their own choices about how they want to live their lives and what they want to do, and to be independent and to live well.
Now, be sure to make a date for this year's Grimsby Cleethorpes Lions Club Beer Festival, if beer and cider are your favourite tipples. Staged over 3 days to coincide with this weekend's Armed Forces Day, there'll be 15 local and national beers on offer and 5 ciders to sample. The charity beer festival has been running for around 15 years, actually rather more than that, I think we're about to discover. And joining me now are David Jack and Vince Marchant. Thank you both very much for coming in, gentlemen. Is it 15 years? I've got that wrong.
No, it's 20 years.
Yes. 20 years?
Yes.
So you started, what, back in 1996?
Yes.
And what prompted you to, if you need a reason to have beer and cider around, what prompted you to start
Well, we thought it'd be a good way of getting money for charity. People spend the money and enjoy the stuff, and we get the benefit with the profit we make to give out to the local charities.
Now, where is the beer festival being held?
It's held at the Cromwell Banqueting Suite, Cleethorpes.
Sorry, in the way?
Cromwell Banqueting Suite at Cleethorpes.
Okay.
And we've had it there for, this will be the 4th year. It's ideal because there's car parking and everything. And so, yeah, on whole, it's a a good day out for everybody, really.
And,
of course,
it's held over 3 days. It's this coming Saturday and Sunday.
Friday.
Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, yeah.
And when do you open up? Because some of us like a little bit of a sniff
11 in the morning until 11 at night.
So you're doing 12-hour shifts?
And Sunday 11 till
We
5
sell out.
o'clock finish, unless it's sold out in the meantime.
Okay, well, I hope you've got enough booze on hand that you're not going to completely sell out.
Oh, we have indeed.
Well, I mentioned 15 types of beer there. Where have you gathered, where have you harvested these wonderful brews from, David?
This is an ordaining man.
From all over Lincolnshire, really. We used to fetch them ourselves from the microbreweries, but then a company stepped in and said, we can pick them up. And we have a choice of literally hundreds. So it's very difficult to... We know what's gone well over the last few years, so we always fall back on like Lancaster Bomber and Golden Blondes. So we know what goes well, and then the rest is just luck, really.
Have you got a favourite, David?
No, still working on it after 20 years.
It's a lot of experimentation is required.
Yes.
Isn't it? Absolutely. And the ciders, they intrigue me because
they're from all over. Yes.
Sometimes you only get very sort of branded, super, factory-made ciders in pubs, and you can't always. It's not so easy to get your hands on.
But this year we've got Mad Jack and small cider makers, and they're very strength from about 3 point to about 5.5. Very strong.
Have you got what I like is the clear flat cider?
Yes, we do have that.
That's dangerous stuff because it goes down a bit too easily.
It does indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. That's always a favourite of the ladies.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, yes.
Cider.
Oh, in that case, I do intend to drink it, but I'll drink it in a very butch way in that case.
Yeah.
You mentioned that the money is going to charities. How's that money divvied up to the various charities around here?
Well, what it is, it goes into our normal charity fund, and then people ring in or we've recommended, they apply. We do spent about 20,000 last year we gave away. Whoever
all that raised from the beer festival?
Oh, no, from through the year. Right. We hope to probably raise £3,000 from the beer festival, and people just say they need it, or we've just bought, not from the beer festival, we just bought a pony for riding for the disabled. We buy hospital equipment, a big range. We spend it on.
I don't really think there's a charity that we don't support.
That's right.
Join me after the break when we'll have highlights from the Lincolnshire show and a roundup of all the latest sporting action. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, wartime memories, more highlights from the Lincolnshire show and a roundup of all the latest sporting action. The second phase of the £1.3 billion Lincolnshire Lakes is on track, with Maltgrade Limited submitting 3 planning applications, which include a further 2,500 new homes and highways improvements. North Lincolnshire Council's Planning Committee will consider the applications in July. If given the go-ahead, this would complete the Lincolnshire Lakes development and would see the creation of a new primary school, the creation of cycle routes and footpaths, and some more natural green space with parks and gardens. The council is investing £13 million to make sure the flood defences are sustainable and effective. Northern Lincolnshire and Goole NHS Foundation Trust remains in the as expected band for mortality, according to a report issued today. The NHS Health and Social Care Information Centre published the summary hospital-level mortality figures, which are published quarterly and refer to a 12-month period, 18 to 6 months before the publication date. The latest figure shows the trust is relatively stable, with the national ranking continuing to improve. Medical Director of the Trust, Lawrence Roberts, said, "Patient safety and good quality care are always at the top of our agenda, and it is reassuring once again to see the mortality rate remain as expected and stable." More from this year's Lincolnshire show now. Chief Patron Steve Bennett of the Oaklands, Chef Patron Steve Bennett of the Oaklands Hall Hotel and the Comfy Duck was at the show for the second year. He was joined by MasterChef semi-finalist Annie McKenzie, whipping up some delights to whet the appetites of the crowd.
Well, I got invited, and last year I said to him, if you want me to, because there was quite a few new faces this year, so I said, if you want me to come, because I'm a bit of an old hat at doing it now, so I said that I'll come and help other chefs lead on if they find it difficult, and kind of be a bit more of a host and ask questions when it goes a bit quiet, because it's really difficult talking to people about what you're doing at the same time. And
it really is, yeah, because I'm used to just doing it in my kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't
you
talk
forget
to
there's
anybody
like
then.
100 people sat in front of you that all want to know the information that you're doing, because you almost think they know, but actually they don't.
Yeah.
You know, so you need that other person. So that's what this was about, really, for like the Lincolnshire show, anyway. And it's a great show for us, because we should be buying more local. You know, and that's what, you know, it's about the seasonal, it's about the localness, and that's what the restaurant's about anyway. You know, we grow a lot of products. I have a huge herb garden that everything comes with. Flowers we picked today for the dishes are all from there, and it's just fresh local seasonal. That's the ethos of the restaurant.
As well as the thousands of adults who descended on this year's Lincolnshire show, there were also thousands of children. They were kept entertained by Earthbound Misfits, a Grimsby-based circus troupe. Here is Neil Hudson.
We're a bespoke entertainment company and marquee contractor based in Lincolnshire. We're here today at the beautiful Link Showground with Betty Bigtop, provided by Piper's Crisps, to entertain all the school kids and any children that are around. We're also doing some entertainment through the day with some stilt walking and some comedy juggling shows. Obviously it's a huge event, so they really wanted to provide something that was free at the point of access for people to come and enjoy. We're really privileged and pleased to be back here again for another year. We don't get loads of opportunities to do workshops in our tent, especially with this volume of people. So it's a great achievement for us, and we're very proud to be linked up with Piper's Crisps, who are a Lincolnshire-based crisp company, because we really believe that local things should stay local, and they're really useful for the economy and for the community.
Residents of Waltham near Grimsby have spent the afternoon sharing their wartime memories ahead of Armed Forces Day this Saturday. Waltham Library hosted a session for residents to come along and reminisce about their lives during World War II. The session, put together by Links Inspire Libraries, is one of many across the county in aid of improving health and well-being, as well as learning about local heritage. Fred went along to find out more.
We all know that it's Armed Forces Week leading up to National Armed Forces Day on Saturday, so we thought in the library service for Links Inspire it would be really good to look at reminiscence as well, looking at the olden times, the old soldiers, encouraging people to share memories of their family's involvement in the Second World War and even the First World War. So today we've got Christine Motley, who's a reminiscence worker, and she's going to work with the group of 20 people we've got here today, and they're going to share their memories about the wartime, about their families and ancestors in the First and Second World War. I think that memories, particularly sharing memories of experiences, add meat to the bones of history. You know, it's all right looking at facts and documents, but when people actually start talking about their own experiences or experiences that have been shared through family memories, then it encourages and gives other people an insight into what exactly happened and into the history and our own sort of cultural heritage. I think getting a group of people together, I mean, clearly today we have 20 people in the room who probably haven't met each other before, and they're going to be exchanging memories, triggering memories, and for the younger ones amongst the group as well, people will be learning about other people's experiences. The best thing about today is that by the end of the afternoon, everybody will have had a really enjoyable experience. Memories will have been shared, memories will have been triggered, there might be a little bit of emotion, but at the end of the afternoon, hopefully everyone will walk out here with a smile on their face, having had an enjoyable afternoon.
Still with me in the studios, David, Jack and Vince Marchant, talking about the annual Grimsby Cleethorpes Lions Club Beer and Cider Festival. We were just interrupted there, Vince. You were saying that the Lions take absolutely no money out of this whatsoever. It all gets
yes, the Grimsby Lions Club, every penny is given to us for charity goes out. We have to pay for our own admin, and we also pay to belong to the Lions Club. So I can assure the public that if somebody gives us a pound goes out to charity.
And there is an Armed Forces connection to charities that you're providing.
That's right.
This year.
We're going to give the local branch of the Armed Forces some of the money which we make over the weekend.
This is the Help for Heroes Fund.
Yes, yeah, indeed.
Now, you are putting this on during Armed Forces Day. There is going to be probably more than, I don't know, 150 or 200,000 people in Cleethorpes. It's going to be
well,
busy.
they chose our weekend.
I see. They chose your weekend. But there is you've got that charitable connection, but there is you've certainly got a market on for your beer when you've got so many people thirsty.
Yeah.
There's another Armed Forces Day connection. The sort of guest of honour is going to be the Duke of Kent, and I think he's an old friend of yours, David.
Oh, you could say that. We were attached in the army and doing an exercise on the Lindbergh Heath, and the Duke of Kent was attached to the Royal Scots Greys and a number regiment, and his tank broke down overnight, and I was in charge of a remake crew repairing the tank. He said, "You stay there." He handed me up a mug of tea and a cheese sandwich.
I always insisted when people give you my sandwiches at lunchtime, it's at least a Duke. Earls won't do. Gentlemen, have a fantastic and very thirst-quenching weekend. Thank you very
indeed.
much.
Thank you.
Time now for the sports news. Hull City's Ahmed El Mohammadi has committed his future to the Tigers after signing a new deal. The 28-year-old Egyptian international signed a 3-year contract subject to a work permit earlier today to extend his stay in East Yorkshire. It's almost 4 years since El Mohammadi first joined the club, initially on loan from Sunderland, and he's since gone on to make more than 180 appearances, including an incredible sequence of 99 consecutive league starts between February 2013 and September 2015. Establishing himself as a favourite among the fans, El Mohammadi has also helped the Tigers to 2 promotions to the Premier League, a first ever FA Cup final appearance, and he was a key player on his side's playoff success last season. With his future now sorted, El Mohammadi is looking forward to the next chapter as the club prepares for its return to the Premier League. "I'm delighted and pleased to be here for another 3 years," he said. Ex-Grimsby Town midfielder Liam Dickens last night re-signed for the Owls to give Marcus Newell another player of quality for the season ahead. Dickens was an influential part of last season, working in tandem with Alex Flett in the heart of the midfield, giving Clee one of the strongest midfield pairings in the NCEL. Cleethorpes make their first appearance in the 2016 Grimsby Town knockout on Monday when they take on Caister. Last year, both teams were involved in exciting finishes, Cleethorpes chasing down Messingham's 174 and Caister just losing out to Grimsby. This year, the Meggies will be bringing along their overseas signing, Wesley Marshall, who's been scoring some useful runs in the Yorkshire South Premier League, where Cleethorpes currently occupy 3rd place. Caister, who lie mid-table in the Lincolnshire County Cricket League, will be looking to field a strong team and progress to the semi-finals of the knockout as they did in 2014. Here they'll meet either Grimsby Town or Woodall Spa, who play next week in the final first round fixture. The match starts at 6:15 p.m. Entries free to Grimsby Town members and £2 per person for non-members. That's all we have time for tonight. If you have a news story for us, then please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages, email news@estuary.tv, or phone Grimsby 01472315553. Write to us at Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN34 5BQ. The polling stations are open till 10 o'clock this evening. Don't forget, if you want to vote, vote until tomorrow. Good evening.